Hey new parents, I'm Brian and welcome back to The Dad Life. Over the past few months, my wife and I have been experiencing more back pain than usual, and we started getting some treatment for our backs, and it's actually been pretty helpful. There are probably a few different factors that are causing this discomfort, but one of them is definitely carrying our kids in our arms and having the weight be distributed in ways that aren't great for our bodies. Our oldest kid is going through a phase where if he sees us holding his little brother, he also wants to be held, just like baby brother. And now that he's around 30 pounds, it can start to get a little bit lopsided. When it comes to our little one, he's starting to get to the size where I can start to use a carrier more often, especially ones that have better back support and even a ledge for them to sit on. When he was smaller, his legs weren't long enough to be able to sit on the ledge correctly in that M position, which I mentioned in this video over here. And it's really important to make sure that your little one is seated in that M position because it'll help promote healthy joint and bone growth, especially in the early formative stages of growth. But now that our little one is able to straddle that seat correctly, I'm starting to use this more, and it's been really helpful on my back. The one that I've been using a lot right now is the carrier by Momcozy, which is called the Move2Fit, and it's a hybrid carrier, which combines a standard baby harness carrier with a hip seat carrier. And I personally haven't seen this on the market yet, so I was a little bit intrigued when I saw it, and I was like, okay, let me try it out. Basically, it's essentially the same harness carrier from Momcozy that they already sell, but instead of the adjustable buttons on the bottom of the harness where you can adjust the size of the openings for the feet, this version has a zipper where you can attach it to a new hip carrier. The nice thing is that you can use this hip carrier on its own, but if you want to use this harness and this hip carrier together, there's a specific version of the hip carrier that has the integrated zipper on it, so these two things go together. And it's really a nice two-in-one type of product. You won't be able to use the upper harness part on its own because it relies on the hip carrier to work. But if you are only interested in the harness carrier, I'll put that in the links below. One thing that I really like about this particular product is that the hip carrier part really helps distribute the weight of your little one across your hips, and it spreads it out over a larger area. And from a simple physics standpoint, the amount of pressure is equal to the force over area. Spreading out the weight of your baby over a larger surface area just means less pressure on your body overall, and it will help reduce potential pain points and improve your posture. Getting this on was pretty simple. I basically just zipped the two parts together and then I put it on the hip carrier part first. The reason I did this is so that I could rotate the hip carrier so that the buckles were easier to access and attach, and then I rotated it back so that the hip carrier was in the front position. I tried buckling the buckles behind my back, and I guess I'm just not that super coordinated, so it wasn't super easy for me, but rotating the carrier first helped. Then I put the top harness over my body, and that was basically it. Once I got my child into the carrier, I could tighten the straps on the sides of my body, and that was it. Now, if I were designing a carrier, I would prefer to have the front part have magnetic buckles like the Colugo, because this has just been an easier interaction for me with that carrier. Now, this isn't a deal breaker for me, but it would be really nice if this were part of the next version. In terms of how many different carrying positions, I think this is one of the best benefits of this carrier versus others, which is the flexibility in the number of different ways that you can hold your little one depending on how big they are and how long you're going to be holding your baby. If you only use the hip carrier, then it's basically like a standard hip carrier where you can have your baby facing you, facing out, and then you can also rotate the carrier on your hips in order to spread out the load. And obviously this is great if your little one isn't too active and can stay in the carrier without trying to escape. If your child is tired and maybe wants to take a nap on you, or if you need your hands to be free versus holding them on your hip, then the harness part is really helpful in addition to the hip carrier. You can hold your little one facing inwards toward you or outwards so that they can see the world, and even on your back like a piggyback ride. After using this for a few weeks, I have seen a noticeable difference in how my back feels, mainly because of the broader weight distribution of this carrier versus others. I mean, at first I was like, this feels a little bit weird, but it is a creative take on a carrier that I haven't seen before, and it's growing on me since it does work pretty well and it's alleviating some pain. Hopefully Momcozy will make some adjustments to the attachment mechanisms like I mentioned earlier, but in the meantime, if you want to try it out, consider using the links below because it really helps support the channel at no extra cost to you. and you might even get a little discount depending on when you see the video. I do want to take a moment to give a quick shout out to Papablic, who's a new partner of the channel. And one of the reasons I partnered with them is because they were founded by a dad many years ago, and they create really great products that actually work. Like this bottle warmer that surprised me. I tested out a lot of bottle warmers in this video over here, and this one was the only one that turned out to warm liquid very quickly, stayed underneath the recommended guidelines for maximum temperature, and also it warmed up the most evenly because it has this unique feature that swirls the bottle mechanically around to keep everything as even as possible. So check it out in the links below. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and if you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more practical parenting tips and baby gear reviews. I'll see you next time on The Dad Life.